Welcome back. Today is Friday, February 20th, 2026. Born on this date in 1942, U.S. Senator representing Kentucky, Mitch McConnell of Sheffield and Athens. And in 1963, Basketball Hall of Famer, TV analyst, and quote machine Charles Barkley of Leeds. If y'all hear any rain hitting glass, it's because that line is coming through and it just reached the window a few feet away from where I'm sitting. Several things to get to today. Buckle up and we'll get through it as quick as we can. I'm Mike Morgan and we're down in Alabama. Plea deals may be coming down to the suspects in the Dadeville Sweet 16 birthday party killings, and the families of the victims are way less than thrilled. AL.com's Carol Robinson reports that those family members say that District Attorney Mike Segrist plans to offer some or all the defendants 20 years with 5 to serve. Now, what that means is 5 years in prison followed by 15 years probation, and they'll get credit for the 3 years they've already spent behind bars. 4 people were killed and around 30 were injured when gunfire broke out at the 2023 birthday party. Amy Jackson, the cousin of victim Kiki Smith, said, quote, "Everybody is so upset about it because we thought these people were going to be gone forever." End quote. The dad of another victim said when he heard of the possible plea deals, he was physically sick for a week. 5 people who are now ages 19 to 23 were charged with reckless murder and other crimes. The state of Alabama has restricted its own ability to set environmental standards, reports the Associated Press. Governor Kay Ivey signed a bill into law on Thursday that prohibits state agencies from setting or amending standards on pollutants and emissions beyond what is already in place by the federal government. For example, if the EPA has a certain threshold for a pollutant, then the Alabama Department of Environmental Management can't decide that that's not enough for Alabama's situation and go tighter. Now, where the feds have set no standards, the state is also prohibited from setting standards unless the rule is based on, quote, "the best available science and the weight of scientific evidence shall establish a direct causal link between exposure at or above the numeric criteria or numeric limitations provided by the rule and manifest bodily harm in humans." End quote. And manifest bodily harm means there's a disease or injury already diagnosable. The presence of a potentially harmful substance in the body or an increased risk of something awful doesn't pass muster. Republicans who brought and passed the measure say it's good for businesses and will keep them from having to deal with an overreaching state of Alabama, which could have you wondering, now, what are the chances that we'll have to worry about the state of Alabama being more stringent than the feds on whatever future toxins come floating down the Alabama River? Well, remember last year, President Trump's EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin heralded what he called the most consequential day of deregulation in American history in announcing rollbacks on 31 environmental rules. So, with the new state law, businesses won't have to worry about Alabama being left with higher standards. We are currently amid one kind of state tax holiday, and Alabama lawmakers are looking at creating another one. Today, Friday, through Sunday, is the state's severe weather preparedness tax holiday, reports AL.com's Lawrence Specker. Now, that means there will be no state sales tax charged on certain items. Your local city or county may or may not be participating, but the state sales tax won't apply. The items include small batteries. No, that's not coin, automobile, or boat batteries. Cell phone chargers, weather radios, lights, tarps and sheeting, duct tape, plywood and protective window film, ice packs, gas and diesel tanks, smoke and carbon monoxide detectors, fire extinguishers, and portable generators that cost up to $1,564. Check out www.revenue.alabama.gov for more details on all that. Now, I think I said, I'm trying to find it, gas and diesel tanks as part of that. That's gas tanks and diesel tanks. It's not a gas tax holiday. All right. Also, just last week, an Alabama House committee passed a bill that would create a Second Amendment sales tax holiday. Now, that's what it sounds like. That would be a tax-free weekend for firearms and ammunition. It'd be held during the last weekend in August, with hunting season right around the corner. Mississippi, South Carolina, Louisiana, and Florida all have similar gun and ammo tax holidays. The bill is sponsored by State Representative Chris Sells, a Greenville Republican, and has 57 co-sponsors, including some Democrats. Speaking in opposition was State Representative Barbara Drummond, a Mobile Democrat, who thinks the state should instead eliminate the 2% sales tax that's still charged on groceries. There are only 8 states that still tax food. The latest Amtrak Gulf Coast venture is working so far, reports AL.com's John Sharp, and there are numbers to back that up. The twice-a-day Mobile to New Orleans service began running in August. Visit Mobile projected that there would be 60,000 riders in the first full year. Well, less than 6 months in, they're already at 70,400 passengers who've ridden the rails. Supporters such as the Southern Rail Commission's Knox Ross are also loving the customer satisfaction index of 94.1%, the best for any Amtrak route in the nation. Surely benefiting that is the 88% of the time the train arrives within 15 minutes of schedule. Also, likely helping those numbers, Mardi Gras, which was by design. And record high temperatures in July or August are terrible. Actually, I don't hate them that bad, but most people do. Record high temperatures in February, however, even for those who like it a little cool, aren't too bad. My biggest worry is that my peach trees are going to wake up too early. Now, that worry, in the grand scheme of things, isn't too awful. AL.com's Lee Morgan reports that records fell on Thursday, and more could fall today in some areas. They fell across a large part of the state, too, mostly breaking records that were set during the warm February of 2018. Looking northward in the state, Muscle Shoals recorded a record 79 degrees, shattering the old mark by 3 degrees. Farther south, Tuscaloosa hit 82, also 3 degrees above its previous record. Now, perhaps the highest temp recorded yesterday in Alabama was in Montgomery, where it was 83 degrees. Now, that tied Montgomery's record that was set in 1891, the year basketball was invented. If you think this weather was less than ideal, keep your chin up. By Sunday, it should be at least a semi-bone chilling, and any open peach buds in the northern part of the state could freeze Sunday night or Monday night. Thank y'all for listening to us. Have a great weekend. Come by and see us anytime you can. We're on the World Wide Web at al.com.